How's it going, everyone? Schaefer here. Welcome to my playthrough review video of Star Wars Jedi Survivor. Now, this is a series where I talk about the game after I've spent a few hours with it. In this case, I've spent probably 8 or 9 hours with Jedi Survivor, just to give you a general idea of how I'm feeling about it, what is good, what's bad, what I don't like, what I do like, that kind of stuff. Give you an idea of maybe if I'm enjoying it, if I'm not enjoying it, and perhaps might persuade you to purchase or to wait, ultimately. And so, yeah, it's just my thoughts, just my general ideas, and just to give you a good overview. And I think it's important for me to say right off the bat that I am thoroughly enjoying my current playthrough of Jedi Survivor. It's a lot of fun, there's a lot of great stuff in it. However, it is important that we address the elephant in the room. In this case, it's the performance. Now, it's everywhere. It's on social media, it's on the Steam store page, and unfortunately it's bad, especially on PC. Now, I'm playing on PC at the moment, and I can confirm that the performance is really, really poor. You know, on a decent setup that I have, it's ultimately I can get as low as 20 FPS, 23 FPS, which honestly is quite unacceptable, and something that I did not expect that we would be getting from the likes of Respawn, and it is very disappointing. Now Respawn did release a statement, actually, about this, where they basically said something along the lines of players using cutting-edge multi-threaded chipsets designed for Windows 11 are encountering problems on Windows 10, or high-end GPUs coupled with lower-performing CPUs also saw unexpected frame loss. Rest assured, we are working to address these cases quickly. Now that's a bit of an understatement because I have so far had nothing change in my game. Since this statement, I still have the same frame rate problems, and I have crashes, a lot of crashes. My game has crashed probably on average every hour and a half. I have a crash. There was one example when I tried to disembark from the Mantis, and every time I stepped foot off the ramp, my game would crash almost immediately. So it's ultimately been very, very disappointing, and it's a real shame because without that, Jedi Survivor would be so much more amazing, so much more almost perfect, if you will, because everything else is fantastic. Like, the combat is absolutely great. It feels good, it feels responsive. We have lightsaber stances, and I believe there's 5 in total. You have something like the single blade, which you start with. You have dual wield, you have double bladed. There are a couple of other ones, but I won't spoil those at this point because my current uploaded videos don't show those 2 yet. But those are actually the 2 that I'm currently focusing on because I quite like those 2 the best. And each stance comes with its own unique animations, its own unique bonuses and advantages and disadvantages. For example, one lightsaber stance might give you extra, more speed and power, whilst another one gives you higher defense but slower. And so you can kind of combine these together because at any given time you're allowed to equip 2 of these stances in between, like, your meditation circles. And this says sort of thing, it allows you to kind of mix up and make sure that you're covering all of your bases, and if you feel like you need to be more defensive, you can swap to your more defensive based stance, or if you just want to be all out attack, you can select and use your more attacking styled stance and then use that to have at it. And so that's great. It's really cool, really nice customization. And then, you know, further on from that, you can actually then spend your skill points that you get. That's the leveling system in Jedi Survivor, like Fallen Order. You don't necessarily gain levels, you gain skill points. And you can use those skill points to boost or unlock additional movesets for each of the lightsaber stances. And there's some really cool additional abilities to unlock as you go through. And so that's great. You know, the lightsaber stances, the lightsabers themselves, they feel good, they look good, they're a lot of fun. And then to complement those, as you would expect, we have the force powers. So the force powers in Jedi Survivor, the 3 main ones, at least when you're in combat, is force push, force pull, and something called confuse. And confuse is just like a Jedi mind trick, essentially. You can use it to convince enemies to fight on your side for a limited amount of time, and they do exactly that. They become passive and they just fight each other. And honestly, I've managed to create some pretty funny moments with that kind of ability. So stay tuned for those because I like it a lot. And again, similar to way with the lightsaber stances, the force powers can also be boosted with skill points. So you can use skill points to make them stronger and more effective. And for example, force push doesn't affect much larger enemies at the beginning of the game, but you can boost it to do so. And that's, again, great, really nice customization, so you can really cater to your own playstyle. And what's more is the worlds, the exploration of the worlds themselves. And so at the current playthrough, I've been to, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 locations in total, including the starting level, and they all have so far looked really great. They've been very diverse, very unique. There are some great set pieces in them. They look fantastic. And it encourages you to look around. There are plenty of side things to do in terms of, jumping puzzles, swinging puzzles, climbing. There is mini bosses to fight, and some of them are quite challenging, very challenging in fact. I beat one of them in my current playthrough that's been uploaded. It was a tough fight, there's no doubt about it. But it's still a lot of fun, and it's very rewarding, and you get a lot of rewards for it. And these rewards are much, much better than Fallen Order. It's not just ponchos. You can get actual clothes, you can get haircuts, you can get beards. You can loot a chest and get a new mustache. You can get new customizations for BD1, and you can get and find tons of customizations for your lightsaber, so you can truly make a unique lightsaber. And obviously the lightsaber color. I went with a nice pink blade on mine. I think it looks fantastic. Super happy with it so far, so that's fantastic. And then there's the characters. The characters in Jedi Survivor have so far been fantastic. They've all been very unique, they've all been voice acted very well. I haven't sat and listened to a character and thought, not quite sure about that, or not quite sure about their dialogues or their voices. They've all been really great, and they've all been really unique and interesting. And there are a couple of standout characters. In the latest video I uploaded, one of the latest videos I uploaded, there's a frog that we get to meet, and he's very unique, he's very funny. I understand why when you watch it, if you watch it, and he's just enjoyable to listen to. It's funny. And then there's the droids. Now, the droids in Jedi Survivor are just hilarious. Whoever wrote these dialogue lines definitely had a good time doing so, and it's just, when you find them out in the world, you just have to stop and listen to what they have to say, either back to themselves, to each other, with other people, because they're really, really funny. They're hilarious. They come up with some really silly phrases, and it just gives them so much character that it's just a delight to be there and to listen to. And then ultimately, you slice them to pieces or throw them off a cliff, and it's okay, it's fine. You do feel maybe a little bit guilty, but ultimately, I love the fact that the characters are so rounded and have such great personalities, and yeah, I'm looking forward to meeting more of them. And finally, I think the thing I'd like to touch on last here is the story. Now, the story, so far it's okay. It's not anything amazing, but it is a bit of a slow burner, so I do expect it to pick up the pace a little bit as the further I go along. Where I am right now, I've kind of got to the point where I realise what the end goal is, maybe what we're trying to reach to. And I am invested to see where that goes and how we get there and who we meet along the way. So it's definitely got me in the sense that it wants, I want to finish, I want to keep going. But ultimately, it did take a couple hours in, really to kind of show me what it wanted to do and show me where it wanted to take us. And so, it's not a bad thing, it's not a good thing, it's just kind of okay at the moment, and ultimately this is something that I will talk about in more detail once I've finished the playthrough. I'll do another video kind of talking about everything else again, and focusing more on how I felt the story ultimately progressed and ended. And so yeah, overall, Jedi Survivor is a lot of fun. It's more of Fallen Order, it's just been improved vastly, it's so far a great experience. It's just, I find myself struggling to recommend people to pick it up and purchase, especially on PC, because the performance and the crashes just make the game less. It just makes it less enjoyable, it makes it frustrating, especially when we're in the middle of something and it crashes, and then I've lost a lot of content so far. Sorry, not content. I've lost a lot of progress so far, simply by dying and having to do, simply by crashing and having so much extra work to do to catch up to where I was. And that doesn't feel very good. There are a couple of bugs here and there. Namely, the biggest one for me is when you die, an enemy, you lose the current XP that you're on. So you have like an XP bar that gives you the skill points, as we mentioned. When you die, you lose that XP. And it kind of, very much like a Souls game, you have to go and retrieve that experience. And in Jedi Survivor, that's done by essentially, it kind of goes into the enemy that beat you. So you have to go and find the enemy that killed you, and you have to then, you only actually have to hit that enemy. So you only have to hit them once with your lightsaber or something, and then you get that XP back. And on more than one occasion, on quite a few occasions, I had it where I would die, lose that XP, but the enemy that killed me did not have the XP stored as they should do. And so essentially I just lost tons of experience. And unfortunately for me, I actually was very close in both occasions to gaining a complete skill point and just completely lost all of that experience. So I lost out on essentially 2 skill points. And that didn't feel great. It doesn't feel great. But that's not very common. That's definitely a much rarer occurrence, but it has happened, and it does feel a little bit irritating to have to sort of face up to that. But, you know, it's not massive, and I could live with that if it was just that was the problem and no performance or crashing issues occurred. I would be okay with it. And so that's it. That's all I wanted to say about this one. That's this video. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you found this useful. Please let me know if you did. Stay tuned for more, and I'll see you in the next one.